Okay, many businesses ask themselves, do we need to digitally transform? And we have different ways in which we can find this out. There are data driven methods, which we will be looking at in other videos. And there is just a really quick rough guide. And I'm going to show you the rough guide. You'll be able to see it, print it, download it, and talk to your other colleagues about this too. Because what I've noticed is that there's a set of actions that business take. And if those actions lead to a certain outcome and the outcome isn't being successful, it tends to give a good approximation as to the need to digitally transform and the level of urgency required. So let's just take a look at the model. I have it on my screen now. Okay, I've broken it into 4 separate sections. The competitive advantage or competitive disadvantage is the first section. Second is stable businesses. And those first two, competitive disadvantage and stable, are where most businesses actually lie. Then there are the businesses that are having a really good competitive advantage, and you usually find that there are traits in there that have meant that they're going through transformation. And then the market dominant businesses, whether it's a mature market or emerging market, they tend to be the ones that have transformed. They have the right mindset, they have the right communications, they have the right innovation, they have the right technology, they have the right data, and they're doing things right. So let's just take a look at their actions and their outcomes, and you try to think, which one of these represents my business? Let's take a look first of all at number 1, competitive disadvantage. Are we slow to adopt to change? Avoid taking risks. Purchase just the necessary off-the-shelf proven technologies. That's the actions. The outcomes from doing that is typically that there's no clear value proposition. What is the customer value that makes us unique to them? We make the sales team responsible for challenging trading conditions, and we seek cost reductions to increase our profits. If that's happening, you're actually at a competitive disadvantage, and it is likely that you're facing need to transform. Stable businesses will adopt a change when they're pushed. They're not big risk takers. They invest only in proven outcomes. They'll invest in new technologies to sustain an existing business model. They're not looking to new business models that become adjacent to their existing business. It's not really of interest to them. But they have similar proposition to the competitors. Their growth is slow and acceptable, and they seek profits just by maintaining the status quo. We've got to a certain size, we maintain that status quo, we'll increase our turnover year on year, and all of a sudden the industry changes, the environment changes, the economy changes, and we're not prepared to change to do it. That stable type of business is very common at the moment, and it needs to transform. And what happens when you do transform? Well, we seek and build in perpetual change. So your business is going, well, we do change. Okay, what's the process? Is there a process for it? How is it measured? We invest in innovation and experimentation. Are the experiments and innovations tied to the strategic outcomes? Are they tied to the strategic repositioning of your organization in the digital economy? Are the strategy saying, here are the problems I want our innovators to solve? Because the world just doesn't need another mobile app. That's not innovation. That's just sustaining business as usual. What are you doing to reposition your business in the digital economy? Are we leveraging emerging technologies to create unique solutions? IoT, artificial intelligence, blockchain, those kind of emerging technologies are the inspiration for change. They're the tools that use it. Using those tools does not guarantee transformation or change, but people who are leading the transformation typically use those tools. So coming at it from a technical perspective doesn't lead to transformation. Coming at it from a business transformation inspired by the technology often can. So what are the outcomes for people who are businesses that are doing that? They appear differentiated in the market. We are the only business in our market that does this because we perform Y better than anyone else. Growth in these new or emerging markets, adjacent markets, those are the kind of things, as well as our existing market, we're servicing it, we're starting to grow in adjacent markets. That's a strong indication that you're going through transformation. Many businesses get stuck here. Many businesses get tangled up in the change and it gets difficult. This isn't easy. But it's definitely not going to happen if we just assign the technologists to deliver it. They're not given the latitude, they don't have the experience or skill of radically changing business structures, operating models, value propositions. That's not their game, but they're definitely needed to make it all happen. It's leaders are the ones that are usually missing, leaders, decision makers. So what does number 4 look like? They seek to upend existing markets, collaborate with other innovators to find new market opportunities. Imagine you wanted to work with somebody externally, a different body. I don't mean an IT provider. I mean, you're in telecoms and you want to work with banking. And you're going to try to create a new product or service that services both your needs and the customer need and finds new competitive advantage. Who owns the intellectual property? What happens if it fails? We're going to work with a drone company to survey land to be able to sell our seeds. Well, what if the drone company goes bust? All of those challenges exist in these very transformed experimental businesses that are in the market dominant position. They dominate new markets as the markets arrive. So we collaborate with other innovators. We invest in new solutions powered by emerging technologies. So we have a radically new way of doing things other businesses find difficult to emulate. We grow exponentially, slow at first, and then we invest in new sub-markets that happen to arrive. We can pivot, we can change. So if you are 1 or 2, we need to go in more depth into the data and understand why that is with the tools that we have. I'll show you later on. And if you're in 3 or 4, 3, you're starting to get there. And 4, I congratulate you. You are digitally transformed. I hope this helps you try to understand where you are. What's my as-is position? We look at a more scientific method of this later on.